The story begins in the heart of a bustling, upscale restaurant on a lively evening. The clinking of silverware and the murmur of conversations fill the air, as elegantly dressed patrons enjoy their meals under the soft glow of chandeliers. Amid the crowd, the door opens, and in walks a tall, unassuming young man, Barron Trump. He's dressed in simple, casual attire, a neatly pressed white shirt, dark jeans, and sneakers. His youthful face carries an air of calm maturity, standing in contrast to the grand opulence around him. As Barron steps in, heads subtly turn, whispers ripple through the dining room, and the staff exchange glances. It's clear that he's been recognized, but the atmosphere is tinged with an undercurrent of tension. The restaurant owner, a stout man in his late 50s with a commanding presence, emerges from behind the counter. His stern expression conveys a mix of apprehension and determination, as if anticipating a challenge. Unaware of the brewing storm, Barron approaches the host stand with a polite smile, asking for a table for one. The host hesitates, nervously looking toward the owner for direction. From the corner of the room, patrons watch intently, sensing that something unusual is about to unfold. The scene is set for an interaction that will leave an indelible mark, not just on those present, but on anyone who hears about it. This is no ordinary dinner outing. What happens next will reveal the power of grace, humility, and composure in the face of unexpected challenges. The restaurant's ambiance grows tense as the owner approaches Barron, his posture rigid and his expression firm. The murmur of conversations fades, replaced by the weight of anticipation. The owner, dressed in a crisp suit and tie, exudes authority, but his voice, though steady, carries a tone of discomfort. "I'm sorry," he begins, avoiding direct eye contact, "but we can't serve you here tonight." Barron, calm and collected, tilts his head slightly, his expression one of quiet curiosity rather than offense. "Is there a particular reason?" he asks, his voice low and respectful, cutting through the thick silence. The owner hesitates for a moment, shifting uncomfortably before offering a vague explanation. "It's just not the right fit for our establishment. We have certain policies." The words hang in the air, and the room seems to hold its breath. A middle-aged woman seated nearby whispers to her companion, her eyes darting between Barron and the owner. A waiter standing by the bar grips his tray nervously, clearly caught in the tension of the moment. Barron takes a deep breath, his demeanor unwavering. "I understand," he replies, his tone devoid of anger or resentment. Instead, there's a hint of disappointment, a quiet grace that seems to disarm everyone within earshot. As he prepares to leave, Barron turns to the staff and nearby patrons, offering a polite smile. "I hope you all have a wonderful evening," he says sincerely, his words cutting through the awkward tension like a balm. The owner, visibly uneasy, watches as Barron makes his way to the door. The young man's posture remains poised, his steps deliberate, as if carrying the weight of the moment with dignity. Whispers erupt among the diners, and a few patrons look toward the owner with disapproving glances. Near the exit, Barron pauses briefly, turning back to meet the owner's gaze. "Sometimes grace can speak louder than words," he says, his voice firm yet gentle, before stepping out into the night. The door closes behind him, and the restaurant is left in a charged silence, its occupants pondering the unexpected exchange they just witnessed. The incident has unfolded, but its impact is only beginning to take shape. Stepping out into the cool evening air, Barron pauses under the soft glow of the streetlights, the hum of passing cars filling the quiet. His face reflects neither anger nor frustration, just a quiet determination and an unshakable composure. He reaches into his pocket, pulling out his phone, but instead of venting or calling attention to the incident, he types a message to someone close. "It's okay. People have their reasons. Let's find a place where everyone's welcome." As he stands there, a group of onlookers from inside the restaurant gather by the window, watching him with mixed expressions. Some appear regretful, others seem thoughtful, as if reevaluating their own judgments. One young waiter, visibly troubled by the situation, hesitates before pushing open the door and stepping outside. "Mr. Trump," the waiter calls out hesitantly, jogging to catch up with him. Barron turns, his eyes meeting the young man's with kindness. The waiter's voice is shaky but sincere. "I just want to say I'm really sorry about what happened in there. It wasn't fair." Barron offers a small smile, placing a reassuring hand on the waiter's shoulder. "Thank you," he says warmly. "But don't worry about me. Life's too short to carry bitterness. Just do your best to make others feel welcome. That's what really matters." The waiter nods, clearly moved by the interaction, as Barron continues walking down the sidewalk. Across the street, a woman who witnessed the exchange approaches him cautiously. She's holding a small bouquet of flowers she had just purchased, her expression one of admiration and apology. "Excuse me," she says, handing him the bouquet. "I saw what happened, and I just wanted to say, you handled that with so much grace. It's rare to see someone respond with such kindness." Barron accepts the flowers with a grateful smile, his tone humble. "Kindness doesn't cost anything, does it? Thank you for this. I hope you have a wonderful evening." As the woman walks away, Barron spots a nearby food truck, bustling with activity. He approaches the vendor, a cheerful older man wearing a stained apron, and orders a simple meal. While waiting, Barron strikes up a conversation with the vendor, who shares stories of his life and struggles with running a small business. When the meal is ready, Barron hands the man a generous tip, saying, "You're doing something amazing here. Thank you for feeding the community." Unbeknownst to him, several bystanders are recording the moments on their phones, captivated by his calm demeanor and heartfelt interactions. The clips, showing Barron's grace under pressure and his ability to connect with people, begin to circulate online almost instantly, sparking widespread admiration. Barron takes a seat on a nearby bench, savoring his simple meal with the same gratitude he would show at a five-star restaurant. His actions, though subtle, leave an indelible impression on those who witness them, a reminder of the power of humility and kindness in the face of adversity. Inside the restaurant, the atmosphere has grown tense. The owner, who initially seemed so firm in his decision, begins to feel the weight of the silent stares and hushed whispers among the patrons. A middle-aged couple seated near the window leans in, quietly discussing what they just witnessed. "Did you see how calm he was?" the woman murmurs. "I don't think I could have done that." The waiter, who earlier apologized to Barron, returns to the kitchen but can't focus on his tasks. He pulls the owner aside, his voice low but insistent. "Sir, I think we made a mistake. That young man, he didn't deserve to be treated like that. The way he handled it, it's making me think we've got it all wrong." The owner looks conflicted, rubbing his temples as doubt begins to creep in. "It's not about him personally," he mutters defensively. "It's just politics, you know how it is." But even as he says it, his conviction falters. He glances toward the window, where Barron's interaction with the woman holding the flowers is visible. The sincerity of Barron's response, the warmth in his body language, it's disarming. Meanwhile, the conversations among the other diners grow louder. A man at a nearby table speaks up, addressing the owner directly. "You know, I don't care about politics. What I saw just now? That kid has more class than most adults I've met. Maybe you should think about that." A ripple of agreement moves through the room. The owner, visibly uneasy, glances out the window once more. Barron is now chatting with the food truck vendor, his laughter audible even through the glass. It's a stark contrast to the tension inside the restaurant, a picture of humanity and humility that seems to touch everyone who sees it. At a table in the corner, a young mother leans down to whisper to her daughter, who had been quietly observing everything. "Remember this," she says gently. "It's not about how others treat you. It's about how you choose to respond." As the minutes pass, the weight of the moment settles over the restaurant. The owner exhales deeply, his shoulders sagging under the burden of his earlier decision. He walks over to the waiter, his tone softer this time. "You're right," he admits. "I let my own biases cloud my judgment. It wasn't fair." The waiter nods, relieved to hear the shift in his boss's tone. "Maybe it's not too late to make it right," he suggests. The owner looks out the window again, where Barron is finishing his meal and shaking hands with the food truck vendor. For the first time, the owner's expression softens, a flicker of regret and resolve crossing his face. As the camera pans across the restaurant, capturing the thoughtful expressions of the patrons, it's clear that something significant has occurred. Barron's grace and humility have sparked a conversation that extends beyond the restaurant's walls, a moment of collective introspection about the values of kindness and understanding. The owner steps outside, a mix of hesitation and determination in his stride. He glances around, searching for Barron in the crowd. Whether or not he gets the chance to apologize, the experience has already left an indelible mark on everyone present, proving that even the smallest acts of grace can inspire profound change. As the sun begins to set, casting a warm golden glow over the busy street, the atmosphere outside the restaurant feels lighter, almost transformed. Barron, still seated near the food truck, finishes his modest meal and rises to leave. The vendor offers him a genuine smile, shaking his hand warmly. "Thank you, young man," he says. "Not just for your kindness, but for showing everyone here what grace really looks like." Barron nods humbly, his soft-spoken demeanor unchanging. "I appreciate it. We all have the chance to be better. It's not about me, it's about how we treat each other." Inside the restaurant, the owner stands at the window, his gaze following Barron as he walks away. The earlier tension in his posture has faded, replaced by a contemplative stillness. He exchanges a glance with the waiter, who gives him an encouraging nod. The owner exhales deeply, as if releasing the weight of his earlier actions, and turns back to his patrons. The buzz of conversation fills the room as diners reflect on what they witnessed. A woman at a nearby table types furiously on her phone, clearly inspired to share the story with others. "The world needs to see this," she says to her companion. "People don't act like that anymore." The camera shifts to a small group outside, lingering near the food truck. They discuss Barron's calm response, marveling at his maturity. "He could have lashed out or caused a scene," one of them says. "Instead, he chose compassion. That's rare these days." Meanwhile, Barron's quiet act of kindness begins to ripple outward. Across social media, snippets of the incident, captured by bystanders, start to spread. A photo of Barron speaking warmly to the food truck vendor, paired with a quote about grace under pressure, begins trending. The post resonates deeply with people from all walks of life, sparking conversations about empathy and humility. Back at the restaurant, the owner finally steps outside, his expression a mix of regret and resolve. Though Barron is no longer in sight, the owner seems determined to carry the lesson forward. He looks at the bustling street, now filled with a sense of community and connection, and murmurs, almost to himself, "I've got to do better." As the scene fades, the narrative shifts focus to the broader message, how one act of grace can inspire countless others. The once hostile environment has been transformed, leaving behind a powerful reminder that even in moments of adversity, kindness has the power to prevail and change hearts. As the story comes full circle, the spotlight turns to the larger message of the incident. Barron Trump's response, calm, compassionate, and graceful, becomes a beacon of hope in a world often driven by division and conflict. His actions remind us all that true strength lies not in reacting with anger, but in choosing understanding and humility. The ripple effect of the encounter extends far beyond the restaurant's walls. News outlets pick up the story, social media platforms buzz with discussions, and people everywhere find themselves reflecting on how small moments can hold profound lessons. In a single act of kindness, one commentator remarks, Barron Trump managed to do what many fail to achieve. He turned a moment of hostility into an opportunity for connection and growth. As the screen fades to a soft focus, the narrator's voice delivers the final takeaway. It's not about titles, status, or influence. It's about the choices we make in the heat of the moment, the way we treat others when no one is watching. Barron's grace under pressure serves as a reminder that we all have the power to inspire change, one moment at a time. The final shot lingers on a quote displayed against a serene backdrop. "Kindness is free, grace is priceless, and compassion, it changes everything." The music swells gently, leaving viewers with a sense of hope and a challenge to carry the lesson into their own lives.